welcome back to Open in Studio. So, Hamlet in Harlem is a politically incorrect comedy with promises of murder, mystery, offensive stereotypes, and cultural appropriations. When an empathetic Caucasian filmmaker wants to make an all Latino version of Hamlet that takes place in El Barrio. The only problem is that, well, he doesn't know much about Latinos. He doesn't know much about Harlem, and he doesn't know much about Hamlet either. So, Hamlet in Harlem is going to have you laughing out loud as it addresses important issues of media representation, gender roles, cultural appropriation, and the relevance of classic literature. Here now to tell us more is Hamlet in Harlem's playwright and director, Alberto Ferreras.
Hey, how you
Hi.
doing, Rhina?
I'm
So good to see you.
likewise, likewise, likewise. I mean, you know, for in this manner anyway. But thank you for making the time to share this lovely journey that you created
I'm a
during the
fan.
pandemic. ¿Cómo? ¿Cómo?
I couldn't help it. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of yours. So how could I miss this opportunity?
I love it. So, and thank you for that. Thank you, thank you. I hope not to disappoint in the process. And what I mean by that is not here on air. It's I'm actually part of this rendition of the show. But we're going to talk about that later. Right now, I want to share with our viewers that, well, you know, Alberto, you're primarily known for your television and film work. I mean, for those of you who don't know, he's the creator of the Habla campaign on HBO. And so I was just curious to know what made you decide to write a play in the height of the pandemic, and most importantly, does your work choose you or do you choose your work?
I know somebody said that, and I can't remember who that was, but it was someone real smart who said that he writes when, or she, maybe it was a she, said when those characters won't leave you alone. Like when you go to bed at night and you start hearing them talking to you, hopefully not in a psychotic way, but um, I came up with the idea of doing Hamlet in Harlem originally as a screenplay. And in the pandemic, what happened is that I said, wow, maybe this could work as a play. And very often, sorry, we're in New York, you might hear an ambulance in the background. Uh, what happens very often is that if I come up with an idea that works here, then I keep thinking about it and it works there as well. My first love, and I think yours too,
Yes,
is theater.
theater. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so let's face it, especially for any artists watching the show, it's not easy to make a living with theater. You know,
Yes,
it's
yes.
a little challenging, not impossible, but challenging. Um, and honestly, I've done theater a few times in New York, but it's always is so much time and it's so much dedication, and then that you say, wow, I'm not sure if I have the energy. But this time, maybe because of the pandemic, I said, I like the story so much, and people who read the script seem to like it as well. Let's give it a try. So first we had a reading on Zoom. People liked it. Then we had a reading in front of an audience in 2021, and people loved it. And then we got an invitation from Theater for the New City to stage it for 12 shows, and that happened in April 2022.
And
And
wait,
honestly,
wasn't each show sold out?
it's sold out like honestly the first two shows were a little bit slow, like people were, but I guess
It
word of
picked
mouth
up, right,
works.
right, right.
And the last 2 weeks were basically sold out every show, and it was a big surprise because also it's a very minimalist show. Maybe because my background is in production, I always try to simplify things. It's like, oh, we need an elephant, and I'm like, can we use a cat?
Right, right.
And
That's
most
the
of the
magic of
time
the theater. That's the magic of the theater interpretation.
most of the time it works. You didn't need an elephant. Yeah, a cat could do.
Right, got
So
it.
so we made the play so lean and so focused on a story which we think is a good story. It's a story that I find funny and sadly true. It's about how misrepresented Latinos are and have been in media for decades. And um, and and my cast has been fantastic. I've been blessed to work with amazing actors. 8 of them, 9 of them actually, so they're not always available, and that's when um, I was looking for an actress for the next couple of shows that we have scheduled in June, and I said this would be the perfect role for Rina Valentin. So Rina Valentin came to the rescue, and if you anyone watching this show, if she's too shy to tell you that you need to come to Theater for the New City June 10th or 11th to see her on stage, you better come. You know
Oh
what I'm
my
saying?
gosh. It's a juicy
I
role, I
get that
might add.
autograph in person.
¿Cómo? ¿Cómo?
And so you can sign that autograph in person.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And that's very humbling. But I really enjoy the role. It's a very juicy role. And that's all I'm going to say. You have to come and see it in order to understand what I'm saying. And so and thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to this. But I do want to share with our viewers why you chose the title Hamlet in Harlem.
Well, um, first of all, it was a funny, catchy title, and basically we're telling the story of someone who has, with very good intentions, wants to tell a story about Latinos, but this person doesn't have the information to do it, and it's maybe he's too shy or too. I think in some cases people have bad intentions. In some cases people are just misinformed, and
Right.
they don't realize that if you're going to tell a story about a certain group, damn, you better surround yourself by that group. It's a good idea to actually co-write it with people who are part of the experience that you want to write about, and that's a conversation that we often have when it comes to Latino media.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so and so wants to make tell a Mexican story, and we say, oh, you have to be Mexican. You have to be Mexican, or you have to team up with people who know the story, um, so you don't appropriate a story that you shouldn't be telling necessarily, because not because you cannot tell a story that is not yours personally, but because it's a story that you don't know enough about. And if we team up, if we understand each other, and then we tell stories um, that are faithful to our experiences, it's going to allow us not only to tell those stories, but to connect.
Right.
Not only writing it, but watching the story to help us understand each other, which is, I think, ultimately, I know it sounds a little sappy, but it's what art should be about. It should be about us. It should be about helping us uh, understand each other and
Right.
connect with each other,
Yeah.
as opposed to hate each other, which is what very often happens in the media nowadays.
Right, because somebody else is controlling the narrative, and in essence, what this show is going to do is it's going to teach people a lesson as well, right? And not only on behalf of us as Latinx, but just in the matter of you. In essence, what Alberto is saying is like, we appreciate you sharing our stories, but it would probably be a lot more accurate if you were including a person who has the ability to tell that story from an authentic place.
Yes, and very often storytelling is, it has to do with talent, it has to do with access to resources, and it's wonderful when someone who has the talent and the access helps tell a story that might not necessarily represent his personal background, but but team up,
Right,
listen to us,
right.
bring us into the party. It should be a story that we're all telling, and so yeah, I mean that's what the play is about somehow. But it's funny. Hey,
Indirectly. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want to make it
indirectly.
sound like it's like a very serious sociological thing.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious actually. It's very clever. He's a very clever man, Alberto Ferreras, and so the story itself has a lot of layers, and there's a lot of innuendos, and there's a lot of what we would say in Spanish indirectas, and really it's an eye opener while it being funny. It's very humorous. It's extremely humorous actually.
and and I think that first of all, I honestly, if you're gonna tell me a story, if it's funny, there's a chance I'm gonna stay until the end. Um, and look at the I think the most interesting news shows in the last 5-10 years. Um, the best news shows are actually Colbert and Jon Stewart, and all these comedians are managing to package these very difficult to swallow news and engage us, and in some cases activate us. So I do believe that humor could be a tool to share important information and to make us understand the world that we live in.
I love it. I love it. Alberto Ferreras giving everybody a cocotazo with Hamlet in Harlem.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you
And
gotta do.
any excuse to talk a little bit about Shakespeare, but not in a stuffy way. Shakespeare, the guy knew what he was doing. So it's about also discussing if what this guy wrote 600 years ago, I think 600, 400, so many years ago, is actually still relevant today, and I think it is. So you guys, I'm telling you, come see this show. It's
It's
gonna be fun, and it's short. So
It's short, it's fun, it's clever, and it does honor Shakespeare as well. So, once again, thank you, Alberto Ferreras, Hamlet in Harlem, playwright and director. By the way, you guys, Hamlet in Harlem is taking place on Friday and Saturday, June 10th and June 11th at Theater for the New City, located at 155 First Avenue between 9th and 10th Avenue. For tickets and information, visit theaterforthenewcity.net. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned because Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.